They laughed, didn't they? Ooh, you remember it. Clear as day, the way their eyes sparkled, their mouths curled in mocking delight as you stumbled. You fell, and the sound of your collapse was drowned out by their laughter. It wasn't just a chuckle, was it? No, it was louder than that, deeper than that. A chorus of judgment echoing in your ears. They laughed because they thought it was over for you. They laughed because they believed you wouldn't get back up. But let's pause for a moment. Let's really sit with that scene. Do you remember how it felt? That burning sensation crawling up your throat, the tears you tried to choke back, the way the world suddenly felt smaller, darker. You told yourself not to cry. You told yourself it didn't matter, but deep down, it cut you, didn't it? It cut you in places no one could see, leaving scars you carry even now. And here's the thing. They didn't just laugh. No, they watched. They stood there, motionless, like vultures circling above. Not one hand was extended to help. Not one word was spoken to comfort. Instead, they fed off your pain. They whispered behind your back, casting shadows on your name. They turned your fall into entertainment, your struggle into a spectacle. But here you are, sitting in the aftermath. You've been carrying that scene with you, haven't you? It's there in the quiet moments, when you lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, replaying it over and over. It's there when you look in the mirror and question who you've become. You've let their laughter haunt you, haven't you? You've let their voices drown out your own. But I need you to hear me now. This is not the end of your story. Do you understand me? That moment, that fall, that laughter, it doesn't define you. Oh no, it doesn't even come close. What defines you is what happens next. What defines you is the choice you make right now. Do you stay down, buried under the weight of their ridicule, or do you rise? Do you prove them right, or do you show them just how wrong they were? Because let me tell you something, they fear your rise. Oh yes, they do. They fear the moment you realize that their laughter holds no power over you. They fear the moment you stand tall, dust off the dirt, and look them in the eye. They fear the moment you take the very stones they threw at you and build something unshakable. And let me be very clear, that moment is coming. You see, they underestimated you. They thought your fall was final. They thought your silence was surrender. They thought your scars were signs of weakness. But scars are proof that you survived. Scars are proof that you were tested and didn't break. Scars are proof that you are stronger than anything they could ever throw at you. So now, I need you to make a decision. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, are you going to let their laughter define you, or are you going to rise? Because here's the truth. Every great story has a fall. Every great hero has a moment of defeat. But the difference between a tragedy and a triumph is what you do next. And I'm here to tell you, this is your turning point. This is the moment you take back your power. You're not broken, you're not defeated, you're not a failure. You are a fighter, a survivor, a force to be reckoned with. And their laughter is just noise. Noise that will fade into silence as your strength drowns it out. So listen closely. This is your wake-up call. They laughed when you fell, but the joke's on them, because now you're rising. And when you rise, oh, how they'll fear you. Not because you're seeking revenge, but because you've found something far more powerful. Yourself. This is your moment. The world is watching. And this time, they won't be laughing. They will be standing in awe. Because you're about to do what they never thought you could. You're about to rise. And there is nothing more terrifying to those who doubted you than seeing you stand tall, unbreakable. Rise. The time is now. You've been running, haven't you? Running a marathon through a storm with stones tied to your ankles. The wind howls against you, cold and relentless, and each step feels like dragging the weight of the world. You're exhausted, gasping for air, and yet you keep running. Not because you're chasing something, but because you're trying to outrun everything. The doubts, the whispers, the laughter, the pain, it all chases you, nipping at your heels, refusing to let you rest. Now, and somewhere along the way, you started to wonder, what's the point of running at all? Because no matter how far you've gone, it feels like you're still in the same place, doesn't it? Stuck, invisible, unheard, like you're screaming into a void and no one even looks up. Do you know that feeling? That crushing silence after you've poured out your soul, hoping, just hoping, that someone will notice, someone will care? But they didn't, did they? They turned away, busy with their own lives, their own triumphs, while you stood there, holding the pieces of your broken dreams. And let's talk about those moments, the ones you never show anyone. The moments when you sit alone, staring at your hands, wondering how they became so empty. The moments when you hear their voices in your head, reminding you of every failure, every flaw, every time you fell short. You'll never make it, they said. And maybe, just maybe, you started to believe them. You started to believe that you weren't enough. Jillian Chan, yeah, I am so thirsty, they need to stop. That you didn't have what it takes. that the world was right to overlook you, ignore you, leave you behind. The voices of the doubters became your own, didn't they? Their ridicule became your internal dialogue. And now, every time you try to take a step forward, that voice whispers, "Why bother? You're just gonna fail again." It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel hurt. And yes, it's okay to feel hopeless. You've been carrying so much for so long, and it's only human to feel the weight of it pressing down on you. But here's what you need to know. It's not your fault. It was never your fault. The world isn't fair. It never was. They didn't give you a chance. They didn't see your potential. They didn't believe in you. And that's not because you're unworthy. It's because they were too blind, too afraid, too small to recognize the greatness in front of them. They underestimated you. They dismissed you. They treated you like you were invisible. But you know what hurts the most? It's not just their doubts. It's your own. It's that part of you that looks in the mirror and sees every flaw, every mistake, It's that part of you that whispers, maybe they're right, maybe I'm not enough. Let's sit with that for a moment. Because pretending it doesn't hurt won't help. Ignoring it won't make it go away. You've been running from this pain for so long, but today we're gonna face it. Look at it, feel it, because only then can we start to let it go. The villains in your story aren't just the people who doubted you. They're the fears that have taken root in your mind. They're the expectations society has placed on you, telling you who you should be, what you should achieve, and how you should live. They're the voices that tell you to keep your head down, stay quiet, and accept your place. They're the pressures that make you feel like you'll never measure up, no matter how hard you try. And let's not forget the biggest villain of all, the cycle of despair, that endless loop of trying, failing, doubting, and giving up. It's like being trapped in a whirlpool, spinning in circles, unable to break free. Every time you think you're making progress, you're pulled back under, gasping for air, wondering if you'll ever reach the surface. Here's the hard truth. Staying in this cycle will destroy you. Not all at once, but piece by piece, day by day, until there's nothing left but a hollow shell of who you once were. The longer you stay here, the harder it becomes to see a way out. The harder it becomes to believe that things can change. And that's exactly what the villains want. They want you to stay stuck. They want you to believe that this is all there is, that this is all you'll ever be. But let me tell you something, they're wrong. The voices in your head, the pressures of society, the doubters who laughed when you fell, they're all wrong. And deep down, you know it. There's a part of you that's still fighting, still hoping, still dreaming. It's faint, barely a whisper, but it's there. And that part of you, that's the part they fear the most. Because they know that if you ever listen to that voice, if you ever believe in yourself again, you'll become unstoppable. You'll shatter their expectations. You'll rise above their doubts. You'll break free from the cycle and become something they never saw coming. But first, you have to confront the reality of where you are. You have to face the pain, the anger, the hopelessness, and decide that this isn't where your story ends. You have to make the choice to stop running, to stop listening to their voices, and to start listening to your own. Because here's the truth. They didn't hear you when you cried out. They didn't see you when you were struggling. But that doesn't mean you're invisible. That doesn't mean you're powerless. That doesn't mean you're broken beyond repair. You've been through hell, but you're still here. And that means there's still hope. That means there's still a chance to rewrite your story. That means the person who's going to save you has been with you all along. It's time to stop believing their lies. It's time to confront your pain and reclaim your power. It's time to rise. Because they may have laughed when you fell, but they'll never see your rise coming. Let me ask you something. How long have you been carrying this weight? How long have you been dragging these unhealed wounds behind you like chains? Days, months, years? Time seems to blur when you're stuck in the same cycle of pain, doesn't it? Until next time, this is Adam, and you're living beyond yourself. Check out jasonreiser.net. Each day feels heavier than the last, the wounds cutting deeper, the weight pressing harder against your chest. You're tired, exhausted, really, and yet somehow you've convinced yourself to keep carrying it all. But what does it cost you? Truly, take a moment to think about it. What have you sacrificed to bear this pain in silence? The moments you didn't seize because doubt whispered, you'll fail again. The friendships you let drift away because you couldn't bring yourself to let anyone see your scars. The dreams you buried because they seemed too far out of reach. It feels like quicksand, doesn't it? The harder you try to claw your way out, the deeper you sink. You fight, you struggle, you gasp for air. But it's relentless, and every time you look around, it feels like the world is moving on without you. Liam, marker, intended parenth, symbol of commitment, childhood, teenager. Something worth it? Well, it seems definitely. And the more constant things get for you, the more cunning and pointless the chaos gets. People are building their lives, chasing their dreams, living in light, while you're stuck here in the shadows. Alone, isolated. You've made a home in the darkness, haven't you? Not because you want to be here, but because it feels like there's no way out. And slowly, piece by piece, you've started to believe that this is all there is for you. that the pain is permanent, that the wounds will never heal, that you're too broken to fix. But let me tell you the truth. It's not the world that's holding you here. It's you. That's a hard thing to hear, isn't it? But it's the truth. The chains that bind you, the quicksand that pulls you under, the darkness that surrounds you, it's all fed by the stories you've told yourself. The story that you're not enough, the story that your scars define you, the story that you'll never rise again. And here's the thing, as long as you believe those stories, you'll stay stuck. As long as you hold on to this pain without confronting it, without facing it head on, it will continue to control you. Because unhealed wounds don't just hurt, they fester, they spread, they seep into every corner of your life, poisoning your relationships, your dreams, your sense of self. But the scariest part? Staying here, in this darkness, will destroy you. Not all at once, but slowly, piece by piece. It will strip away your hope, your joy, your will to fight. It will convince you that there's nothing left to fight for, and if you let it, that pain will consume you entirely, until there's nothing left but a hollow shell of the person you once were. Now, reach inside yourself and claim a small part of you to wake you out of your dark hole. But that's not who you are, is it? Deep down, you know that. Deep down, you feel the spark, faint but still burning. A part of you that's desperate to break free, to rise above the weight of your pain, to rewrite the story you've been living. Because pain is not your identity. Did you hear me? Pain is not who you are. It's not the sum total of your existence. It's not the thing that defines your worth. No, pain is something you've experienced, something you've survived, but it's not you. What if I told you that pain could become your greatest teacher? What if I told you that every scar you carry holds a lesson? That the wounds you've endured can shape you, mold you, strengthen you into someone unbreakable? Because they can, if you let them. But first, you have to confront it. You have to stop running, stop burying it, stop pretending it doesn't exist. You have to stand in the darkness and face it head on. It's not going to be easy, it's going to hurt, but pain demands to be felt. And only by feeling it can you start to let it go. And let me tell you something else. It's not too late. You're not too far gone. You're not too broken to rise. The darkness wants you to believe that, but it's a lie. Because no matter how deep you've sunk, no matter how long you've been stuck here, there's a way out. But that way out begins with you. It begins with a decision. A decision to stop letting your pain define you, to stop believing that this is the end of the road. Because it's not. This is a turning point. This is the moment you choose whether you'll stay in the darkness or step into the light. Yes, the pain is real. The scars are real. The wounds are real. But so is your strength. So is your resilience. So is your ability to rise. So ask yourself, are you going to stay here, sinking deeper, letting the weight consume you? Or are you going to fight? Are you going to let the pain destroy you? Or are you going to use it to build something new? Because the truth is, the pain you've been carrying isn't just a burden, it's a tool. It's a hammer that can break you apart, or it can forge you into something stronger. The choice is yours. It's time to decide. This is not your final chapter. This is not where your story ends. This is where you confront the darkness, face the pain, and take the first step toward rising. Because they may have laughed when you fell, but they won't be laughing when they see what you become. Let me tell you something about broken pieces. They are not a sign of weakness. They are not evidence that you failed. They are not proof that you are damaged beyond repair. No, your broken pieces are your battle scars. They are the stories etched into your skin, the lessons forged in fire, the proof that you have survived. And scars? Scars mean you lived through what was meant to destroy you. Scars mean you're still here. You've been through the fire, haven't you? You've felt the flames licking at your heels, threatening to consume you. But here's the thing about fire. It doesn't just destroy, it purifies, it transforms, it forges. And now, it's time for you to become the flame. The fire you walked through was not meant to burn you down. It was meant to ignite something within you, something unstoppable, something untouchable. That fire revealed your strength, your resilience, your ability to endure. And now, it's time to take that strength and use it to rebuild. Your pain is not just pain, it's power. It's a tool, waiting for you to pick it up and shape it into something extraordinary. Think about it. Every tear you've cried, every doubt you've battled, every scar you carry, they're not weights to hold you down. They're weapons. Your pain is the hammer, your doubts are the chisel, and your resilience is the steady hand that carves greatness from the rubble. Alongside that pain, there's also greatness and depth. Your scars are a tool waiting for you to kick the door down, carves greatness from the rubble. What will you carve from them? You see, life has been breaking you open for a reason. Every crack, every fracture, every bruise, it's all part of the process. Because only when you are broken open can the light begin to shine through. Only when you confront the darkness can you begin to build something unbreakable. And that's exactly what you're doing. Right here, right now. You're not just surviving anymore, you're creating. Oh, you're inside, you're so loose and floppy that Dragon Ball left you in no shape. You're transforming, you're rising. Think about the strongest people you know. The ones you admire, the ones who inspire you. Do you know what they all have in common? They didn't have easy lives. They didn't coast through without struggles or setbacks. No, they were forged in the fire. They took their pain, their failures, their doubts, and turned them into stepping stones. And that's exactly what you're capable of doing. You've faced the fire. You've been tested, battered, bruised. But the fact that you're still here, still breathing, still fighting, that's proof of your resilience. That's proof that you are stronger than anything life has thrown at you. Now it's time to take that resilience and let it fuel your transformation. Because here's the truth. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are not defined by your pain, your past, or your failures. You are defined by what you do next. So let me ask you, what are you going to do next? Are you going to let the fire consume you, or are you going to rise from the ashes? Are you going to let your pain hold you back, or are you going to use it to propel yourself forward? Because the choice is yours, always has been. You hold the power to rewrite your story, to turn your pain into purpose, to rise stronger than you ever imagined. This is the moment when everything changes. This is the moment when you stop looking at your struggles as obstacles and start seeing them as opportunities. Opportunities to grow, to learn, to become the person you were always meant to be. Yes, you face challenges. Yes, you've been knocked down. Yes, you've been broken. But none of that defines you. What defines you is your ability to rise again. What defines you is your resilience, your courage, your determination to keep going even when the odds are stacked against you. So, this script, your challenges are not curses. They are gifts. Gifts that have taught you strength, patience, and perseverance. Gifts that have shaped you into someone who knows how to fight, how to endure, how to overcome. And now, it's time to use those gifts to build the life you deserve. So stop seeing yourself as a victim. Stop telling yourself that you're broken. Stop letting the voices of doubt and fear dictate your story. You are not a victim. You are a warrior, a creator, a force of nature. You are the architect of your own destiny, and every challenge you've faced has been a tool to help you build. So pick up your hammer, pick up your chisel, start carving, start creating, start rising. Because here's the truth they don't want you to know. The people who laughed when you fell, the ones who doubted you, underestimated you, they don't fear your pain, they fear your potential. They fear what will happen when you realize just how powerful you truly are. In that moment, that realization, it's happening right now. This is your time. This is your turning point. This is the moment when you step out of the shadows, shake off the dust, and claim your place in the light. So rise. Rise from the ashes. Rise from the pain. Rise from the doubts and fears and failures. Because your story isn't over. In fact, it's just beginning. And when they see you now, when they see the fire in your eyes, the strength in your step, the unshakable power within you, they won't be laughing anymore. They'll be in awe. And you'll be unstoppable. They thought they could bury you. They laughed as the weight of the world pushed you down as you sank deeper into the dirt. But what they didn't know, what they couldn't possibly have understood, is that you weren't being buried. No, you were being planted. And there's a difference. A seed in the soil may seem invisible for a time, hidden and forgotten, but beneath the surface, something miraculous happens. It grows, it transforms, it becomes something unrecognizable from what it once was. And that's exactly what's happening to you. For so long, you've been in the darkness, haven't you? You've felt the cold soil press against you, suffocating, heavy. You've felt alone, buried under layers of pain, doubt, and fear. But even in that darkness, something inside you refused to die. Something inside you kept growing, reaching, fighting for the light. You see, this is the part of the story where everything changes. This is the moment you decide who you are. Are you going to be the victim of their laughter, the one who stays buried, unseen and unheard? Or are you going to be the warrior who rises, defying every expectation, every doubt, every limitation? Because the truth is, you are not the person they thought you were. You are not the person you once believed yourself to be. You are something so much stronger, so much greater. And now, it's time for the world to see it. They laughed when you fell. They thought it was over for you. They thought they had written the final chapter of your story. But they were wrong. Oh, they were so wrong. Because this is your rise. This is your awakening. This is the moment when you stop letting their laughter define you and start defining yourself. Do you feel it? That power stirring within you? That fire that refuses to be extinguished? That voice inside you that whispers, get up, rise, you're not finished yet. Because here's the thing about pain, it doesn't just hurt, it transforms. It carves out the weak parts, leaving something stronger behind. Your scars, they're not reminders of your failures. They're proof of your strength. They're the map of your journey, showing every battle you fought, every mountain you climbed, every storm you survived. So what are you going to do with them? What are you going to do with the scars, the pain, the laughter, the doubts? Are you going to let them weigh you down, or are you going to use them as fuel? Are you going to let them define your story, or are you going to write a new one? Because the power has always been yours. It's been waiting for you to claim it. And now, here you are, standing at the crossroads. One path leads back into the darkness, into the shadows where you've been hiding. But the other path leads to light, to freedom, to a future where you are no longer bound by their laughter, their doubts, or your fears. Let me ask you this. Which path will you choose? Because every great story has a turning point. Every hero has a moment when they realize they are more than their pain, more than their past, more than the world ever believed they could be. And this is your moment. They laughed when you fell, but now they'll watch as you rise. And when they see you, stronger, braver, unstoppable, they won't recognize you. They'll see someone forged in fire, someone who turned scars into armor and pain into purpose. Hanging from those harmless wings was the camera in his hand and the message he was trying to bear. They'll see someone who refused to stay buried, someone who refused to let the world dictate their worth. They thought they could bury you, but they didn't realize they were planting a force of nature. And now, it's time to rise. Not slowly, not timidly, but boldly, powerfully, with every ounce of strength you've discovered within yourself. Rise like the sun after the longest night. Rise like a phoenix from the ashes of everything that tried to destroy you. Rise with the kind of power that turns doubters into believers and enemies into witnesses. Because this is your time. This is your transformation. This is the moment when everything changes. Feel the shift inside you. Feel the weight lifting, the darkness receding, the fire igniting. Feel the truth settling into your bones. You were never defeated. You were only being prepared. Look at your scars. Look at your pain. Look at everything that once held you back. And then look at yourself. Whole, strong, unbreakable. Come on! This is your turning point. This is where your story pivots from struggle to triumph, from doubt to confidence, from fear to unshakable faith. So rise. Rise with purpose. Rise with power. Rise with the knowledge that every step you take is a step toward becoming the person you were always meant to be. Because they laughed when you fell, but now they'll fear your rise. They'll fear it not because of what you've done, but because of who you've become. And who you've become is unstoppable. It's decision time. You've come this far, and now you're standing at the threshold of transformation. The question is simple. What are you going to do with your pain? Are you going to let it weigh you down, drag you back into the darkness, and keep you trapped in a story of what could have been? Or are you going to let it lift you higher, fuel your ascent, and propel you toward a future that defies every expectation? Are you willing to go this far? Are you willing to lift the lid on the curtain from within on your own? This isn't a rhetorical question, it's a challenge, a direct challenge to you right here, right now. Because the truth is, no one can make this choice for you. No one can force you to rise. No one can carry your pain for you or take your first step forward. That power, that choice, it's all yours. So what are you going to do? Here's what I need you to understand. Transformation isn't a single, sweeping moment. It's not a dramatic scene where the music swells and everything falls perfectly into place. No, transformation is a process. It's messy, uncomfortable, and often painful, but it's also the most beautiful, rewarding journey you will ever take. And like any journey, it requires a roadmap. So let's talk about how you get there. Let's talk about the steps you'll take to turn your pain into power, your scars into strength, and your story into something extraordinary. Step 1. Reflect on what broke you, but don't stay there. You can't move forward until you've made peace with the past. That doesn't mean dwelling on it, reliving it, or letting it consume you. It means taking a hard, honest look at what broke you. What were the moments that hurt the most? Who or what made you feel small, invisible, or unworthy? Acknowledge those moments. Write them down if you need to. Say them out loud if that helps. But don't stay there. Don't let those moments define you. Instead, see them for what they are, lessons. Each wound, each scar, each fall, it all taught you something. It showed you where you're strong, where you're vulnerable, and where you need to grow. You're not erasing the pain, you're reframing it. You're taking the broken pieces and using them to build something new, something stronger, something unbreakable. Step 2. Take small steps forward, turning pain into purpose. Transformation doesn't happen all at once. It happens step by step. choice by choice, moment by moment. So start small, start where you are, with what you have. Maybe that means forgiving yourself for past mistakes. Maybe it means setting one small goal and working toward it every day. Maybe it means reaching out for help, opening up to someone you trust, and letting them see the parts of you've been hiding. Whatever it is, take that first step, and then take another, and another. Because every small step forward is a victory. Every small step forward is proof that you are no longer defined by your pain. You are using it. You are turning it into something meaningful, something powerful, something that pushes you closer to the person you are meant to be. And as you move forward, you'll notice something extraordinary. The pain that once felt like a weight pulling you down will start to feel lighter. The scars that once made you feel ashamed will start to feel like badges of honor. The story that once felt like a tragedy will start to feel like a triumph. Step 3, own your story. Don't let anyone else define it. This is your life, your journey, your story, and no one. Not the people who doubted you, not the ones who laughed when you fell, not even the voice of fear inside your own head gets to define it for you. You are the author of your story and the pen is in your hands. So write the story you want to live. Write a story of resilience, strength, and triumph. Write a story where the hero, the one who faced the fire, rose from the ashes, and conquered every challenge, is you. And don't just own your story, celebrate it. Celebrate every scar, every setback, every moment of doubt that you overcame. Celebrate the fact that you are still here, still standing, still fighting, because that in itself is a victory. Rise, because you were always meant to. Look at yourself now. Look at everything you've been through, everything you've survived, everything you've overcome. Do you see it? Do you see how far you've come? When they look at you now, they won't see the person who fell. They won't see the person they laughed at, doubted, or dismissed. They'll see someone unstoppable, someone who turned pain into power, fear into fuel, and scars into strength. And when they see you rise, they won't just be surprised, they'll be inspired. Because your story is more than just your own. It's a beacon for everyone who has ever been laughed at, doubted, or underestimated. Your rise shows them what's possible. So rise, not because you have something to prove to them, but because you have something to prove to yourself. Rise because the world needs the light you carry. Rise because your story isn't over. Rise because you were always meant to. This is your moment. This is your time. And when you rise, the world will stand in awe, not because you've changed, but because you've become the person you were always meant to be. So go, take the first step. Claim your power, rewrite your story, and rise. You were never just broken. You were being forged. Every crack, every fracture, every bruise, they weren't the end of you. They were the beginning. The world may have tried to break you, to silence you, to bury you. But here you are, standing on the other side of it all. And now, you are proof that brokenness isn't the end. It's the fire that forges the strongest steel. Let me remind you of something undeniable. You are here. You survived. You endured. And not just to exist, but to rise, to thrive, to rewrite the story they thought was already finished. Every laugh, every doubt, every time they dismissed you as defeated, it all fueled the rise they never saw coming. Look at yourself now, not as the person they laughed at, not as the one who fell. Look at yourself as the warrior you've become. You didn't just survive, you transformed. You turned their laughter into lessons, their ridicule into resilience, and their doubt into the driving force that pushed you higher. You are not who you were back then. You are more. You are stronger. You are unshakable. And when they look at you now, they won't see the cracks. They'll see the light shining through them. They'll see the fire in your eyes, the power in your stride, the determination in your heart, and they'll know they were wrong to ever doubt you. You are living proof that even when the world laughs, even when they think you've been defeated, you rise. You rise because the fall was never your ending. It was your beginning. You rise because the pain didn't destroy you. It transformed you. You rise because you are made of something the world can't break. Determination, courage, and an unrelenting spirit. And let me tell you something else. Your rise isn't just for you. It's for everyone who has ever felt the sting of ridicule, the ache of being underestimated, the weight of self-doubt. When they see you rise, when they see the strength you found, they'll believe it's possible for them too. Your story becomes a light in their darkness, a reminder that no matter how deep they've sunk, they can rise too. So what will you do now? Will you stand tall in the knowledge of who you've become? Will you take the scars they gave you and wear them like armor? Will you step into the light, unashamed, unbroken, unstoppable? Because here's the truth. The world will always have its doubters, its critics, its voices of ridicule. But those voices don't matter. The only voice that matters is the one inside you. And what does that voice say now? It says you've risen. It says you've overcome. It says you are powerful beyond measure, and nothing, not their laughter, not their doubt, not even your own fear, can hold you back anymore. This is your time, your moment, your rise, so go. Show the world what happens when they laugh at someone like you. Show them that their laughter didn't break you, it built you. Show them that their doubts didn't defeat you, they defined your determination. When they look at you now, they'll see someone unstoppable. Someone they once laughed at but now fear. Someone who turned every "you can't" into a thunderous "I did." You are a living testament to the power of resilience, the strength of the human spirit, and the undeniable truth that no one, not them, not the world, gets to decide your story. Rise, because you were always meant to. And as you rise, let the world watch in awe. Let them see the light in you. Let them feel the fire that refuses to be extinguished. Let them remember that they should have never, ever doubted you. This is not just the end of this chapter. It's the beginning of a new one. And this time, you're writing the story. Now go. Rise, shine, conquer. The world is waiting to see the unstoppable force you've become.